Oh, I was concerned about you at that moment. That sounded loud.
Okay. Today's date is August 24, 2016. My name is Leah Michelle Cash, and I'm interviewing Mr. Abraham Mubashshir for our archiving project in the Inland Empire. Mr. Mubashshir, you spell your name, please, for us?
My first name is Abraham, Abraham. Middle name, Warith, Warith. Last name, Mubashshir. M like in Mary, U, B as in boy, A-S-H, another S-H, I-R.
Okay. We are interviewing here in the home of Wilma Mina Carter in the city of Rialto, California. Thank you, Mr. Mubashshir, for interviewing with us. So, we're going to get started on our questions here. And one of the first questions that we like to ask is to tell us a little bit about your early history, your life, in your family, and your family life.
My early life, I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, but I grew up in a rural town called Waterproof, Louisiana. We stayed there until I was about 10. In 1963, my mother moved us to Los Angeles, to South Central Los Angeles. It is there where I grew up. Went to middle school and high school, which was Fremont High School.
Mm-hmm.
It was there where I felt culture shock in the city, coming from a rural southern town. And I had to interact with that. I didn't like it, but that was my reality.
Mm-hmm. What were the differences?
Well, to give you an example, when I first went to middle school here, about a week into the school, someone threw an eraser at the substitute teacher when their back was turned. In Louisiana, a child would never have done anything like that to an adult, and especially a teacher. And I was really shocked, but what shocked me more is when they asked who did it, nobody said anything. In Louisiana, where I was from, everyone would have told on you because something was wrong with you. So I did what I was supposed to do. I told. He did it. Well, he was the leader of a gang on campus, and even though the vice principal came and took him away, by the time the bell rung, he had organized his guys and they jumped me. In Louisiana, you fight one person at a time. The other people wouldn't allow anyone else to double team you or something. But they jumped me like 4 or 5 people, and I didn't understand that. So those was the things I had to get used. Life adjustments is that it was pretty violent in South Central. And I had to align myself with some people who would help me fight if I needed to protect myself. And I didn't really like that. It kind of pulled me away from my academics, which I enjoyed while I was in Waterproof, but it was my reality.
What were some of those academics that you did enjoy in Waterproof?
In Waterproof, just the basic learning. I just enjoyed learning. I still enjoy learning.
Did you have a favorite book as a youth?
No, not at that time. There were some stories about 2 Indian boys, and I don't remember anything much about it, but I remember that image, and I always liked that. And there were other books about the 2 twins in different situations. So I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed a class where we worked with wood and we would make a lamp. We would go out into the swamp, cut a certain type of tree stump out of the swamp, come and
create something.
Yeah, and put a light bulb in it and an extension cord, and it worked. And I took it home, and I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I had some bad times in Louisiana. The first time I understood racism, where I went with some other kids. My mother sent us with some older kids to get an ice cream cone in town. And we went through this alleyway to the back of the ice cream parlor. And they knocked on the door, and a black man came to the door and asked us what we wanted. We told him, and we paid him, and we walked back towards the front main street. And I decided to look around, and I looked at the ice cream parlor, and I looked in the window, and I saw all these white kids in there.
Mm.
Some sitting at the counter, some sitting at the table, eating their ice cream.
Do you remember how old you were?
Had to be less than 10 because I left there when I was 12, about 10. But I knew then that something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I have to go to the back to get my ice cream?
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't I go in? And even at that age, I threw the ice cream away.
Mm.
The other people yelled at me, and I didn't really know why, but I know something was an insult to me. And I've been like that most of my life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, in what high school in LA did you go to?
Fremont High School.
Fremont High School.
Yeah.
Okay. And so at that time, while you were in high school, you were developing your career choices. So at that time, what career choices were you deciding to make, or what colleges were you looking at, or were you even deciding to go to college at that time?
No one talked to me about going to college. The only thing I heard in my environment was to get a job. And I always say I majored in survival.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty violent area and time, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why, when I leave the house, the potential for violence was there. And walking home, the potential for violence was there. And I didn't understand it, but it was my reality.
Mm-hmm.
So, high school, I didn't think about future. I just thought about surviving. But I did get on the swim team.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. That helped build my character, brought me around some different types of people, and I was blessed to run into a man who became an actor by the name of Roger Mosley.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Mosley is known for Magnum P.I. He was the helicopter driver. But before he did that, most people don't know that he was a manager of a swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
Fremont didn't have a swimming pool, so we would go to his park to use their swimming pool and facilities to train us. Mm-hmm. And I met him, and he had a great impact on my life. He was an incredible human being. His faith in himself was so great. He didn't have to act like he was tough, anything. He was just a down-to-earth person that had all this faith and belief in himself.
So, have you ever told him that or seen
him?
Oh,
yeah. He took me under his wings. He really saw something in me, and he liked me, and he helped me a lot. He got me a job.
So in your family, where were you in the birth order? Were you the oldest, youngest, in the middle?
I'm in the middle. I got, it's 6 of us, 2 ahead of me, my sister Lola, my brother Herbert, and then me. Then my sister Pat under me, my brother Ricky, and then the baby, we all came to California.
Okay. And so then therefore, moving away from high school,
Mm-hmm.
how is it that your family moved out here to the Inland Empire?
My family didn't move out here. After high school, I believe I lost about 5 years just working jobs, not doing anything
Okay.
of
Trying to
importance.
find yourself.
Yeah, trying to understand the world that I was living in.
Living in.
Yeah, I didn't understand the racism. I didn't understand why I was supposed to feel that I was inferior.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand how the last generation had lived through that.
Mm.
I didn't understand why people didn't fight back. And I was trying to find somebody, some group, some people that was willing to fight back and not just talk about it, but was serious.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some, the first organization I ever seen was US, Dr. Karinga. I was in high school when I saw him, and he came through there with this black outfit on, with these dark glasses on, with these bodyguards, and I had never seen anything like that
It looked beautiful.
at all. Yeah, it did. It looked very powerful. And the Black Panthers was coming into existence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to the Black Panthers. At least they was prepared to fight and die for what they believed in.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw some manhood and womanhood in them.
Mm-hmm.
I had really lost a lot of respect for what the last generation. The preachers, they seem to, the politicians come and tell them what to tell us, and what they tell us is to be quiet and accept this. There was no seeming like any backbone.
Or any revolution.
Yeah.
Brought about change.
Right, everything was to keep us
Quiet
accepting.
and subdued and accepting.
And I didn't understand that. So I lost respect. So I didn't have nowhere to go. I was just looking. However, something changed. I was at a friend's house, and he gave me a book called The Autobiography of Malcolm X. Really, because I felt like I was a good person and had something to offer, and I was waiting for somebody to discover me, someone to come and save me out of South Central Los Angeles, and nobody came. But when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X and saw that Malcolm X was at the mud of society and went in prison and pulled himself up himself to where he could debate with the greatest minds in the universities, then I knew that you can do it yourself. That is in you, and you have to do it yourself if you're going to do it. And that changed my life.
So that was a powerful revelation.
Very powerful, because then I stopped waiting for a savior. I went to work and saving myself. I didn't know what the future held, but I wasn't going to try to save myself and get out of South Central LA, try to get out of that whole mentality and find another type of mentality that has some dignity to all the other things that one has to have for life. Homes, cars, bank account, all of those things I saw people having. Now, I saw alcoholics with homes and cars. They go to work 5 days a week. On the weekend, they drink and be alcoholics in their garage. So I saw, well, having a home and stuff don't seem to be that hard. All you do is go work for the white man and he give you some money and then his brother come and give you some credit to keep you working for him. So that didn't seem hard. So I was wondering what was greater than that? So I went to, I left Los Angeles. I dropped everything. I left my girlfriend, I sold my car, I stopped my 2 jobs, because I thought I had made it for what people thought was making it at that time. I had a 2-bedroom apartment, I had a nice car, a nice girlfriend, but I still didn't feel satisfied.
On the inside.
On the inside. So I had an uncle and aunt in Pittsburgh, California. And I got in touch with them and asked could I come and live with them because I want to get a new start. And they said yes. And may God have mercy on their souls today and give them paradise. Because they gave me an opportunity to get out of this environment in Los Angeles.
That violence.
And try to start all over again with this new person in me and find out what this new person is. By accident, I ended up in college. And I say by accident, my uncle had got me a job at the steel mill. That's what they did in that area. They worked at the steel mill. They had just opened a new community college in Pittsburgh and they needed students. So my uncle and them asked me to drive my cousin up to the university, to the college, so she could register and try to get in. And while I was there, out of nowhere, she said, "Why don't you fill out a form?" I said, "Me? I'm not college material." You know, college for me was for white people and brilliant people. And I wasn't either one.
So you thought.
But I filled out the form, and they contacted me. And they say I had been accepted, and they would give me financial aid. And my uncle was upset with me because he wanted me to work at the steel mill. That's what black men did. So I accepted. That was a hard decision because I was 23 years old. I was a man. And I can't just live on my uncle as a man. But that was one of the big decisions in my life that really paid off.
That changed your life
yeah.
as well.
I started working so hard because I had to play keep up and catch up. I had a poor high school education. So I had to work.
Double hard.
And I didn't have no transportation. I had to walk to the college. I had to get up in the morning and walk through bad communities, under the freeway, across fields to get to the college. And I stayed so long, the janitor asked me to leave. I just started hitting those books. And I wanted to know what was going on in the world. Why was the world the way it is? How did this happen? And I just started hitting them so hard, and then something else happened for me. I thought I wanted to be a journalist. So I was taking a journalist class. My editor said, "There's a woman on this campus that's different from everyone else. She has on long dresses, beautiful colors, her hair's covered. She walked with this dignity, but nobody knows who she is. So I want you to do a feature story on her." So I approached her, and she said, "You have to ask my husband." Well, that was kind of different. I mean, a woman just straight out saying, "You have to ask my husband." You know, most women will start to say, "Well, I don't need to ask a man. I can make my decisions for myself." But she humbly, "You have to ask my husband." I said, "Okay, when can I?" And she said, "He'll come tomorrow when he picks me up." And I didn't know much about the Nation of Islam at all. I didn't know nothing about Muslims at all. I had seen them with the bean pies, but I didn't know who they were really. And he came and he said, you know, you'll understand her better for this story, and you can write it. She can, if you come down to the temple. I said, okay, no problem. So I went to the temple. And I saw these little boys with suits on, with their nice white shirts and their little bow ties and their hair cut really nice, and their face was glowing, and these little girls with long dresses on, and their hair was covered, and their face was shining with self-dignity. And I was like, who are these people? And then the minister came up, and that kind of scared me, because he was talking about the white man like I had never heard anyone talk about him, with no hesitation, no apology.
Arrogant.
Yeah. And I was like, they're going to raid this place. Something going to happen here. They must have guns or something.
So was that after the autobiography of
Oh,
Malcolm X?
yes. The autobiography had got me moving towards looking for something different and saying that I can save myself.
Right.
This is the process of carrying that out, trying to save myself. So here I am in college trying to learn how to save myself. What's out there? So a lot of people don't understand. A lot of young people don't know what's out there. You gotta know your options, and I didn't know what was out there. This is my community, and they didn't have the stuff they have today. You know, cell phones, computers, all that information that people have today. So yeah, this is me trying to find myself. When I left that meeting, I had a lot to try to digest, because I had been saying to God, help me. I didn't know who God was. I said, God, wherever you are, help me. I will go wherever you send me. And here, I just heard this man, and everything he was saying was right. We have to be self-aligned. We come from great people. We've been brainwashed. We always got our hand out. Like, that's what I see. We beat up each other easy, but when two white policemen come in the neighborhood, they can terrorize the whole neighborhood. We scared. I never heard anybody talk like that. I had seen it. Once my mother was at the car wash, my uncle's car wash, the police came and jumped these black men right in front of us, and they were beating them. I mean, he was getting off on them, and the other white police like, that's enough, John, that's enough, and John, go back. And we stood around and watched, and no black man said anything. Now, these are black men I knew that was supposed to be bad in the community. That I grew up seeing them, they would cut each other, shoot each other. But none of them said that. My mother was pregnant, and she said something. She said, if y'all so bad, won't you take the handcuffs off him? At least give him a chance. They had him handcuffed beating him. And they looked at her and told her to shut up. Stay out of this. And I looked around at all these men, and they said nothing. And I knew I didn't want to be like that. I was a kid, but I knew I didn't want to be like that. I didn't. Anyway, so I was at the junior college. I went back to the temple again, and they said, these children, you see, you know what they're up against in this society. They want to keep their dignity, but the society is going to try to crush it in them. who will stand up and fight for these children's right to grow up with dignity and respect?
That's all you needed.
I had to stand up. I stood up. I didn't know what I was getting into, but it happened fast from there because they had a whole system. Once you say yes, they had a whole system that brought you in and took care of you and told you what to do. My uncle and aunt asked me to leave. They were afraid of Muslims. They tried to scare me, say, you can't leave, you can't get out, they'll kill you, and all that. But it was too late then. I jumped in full body. I gave myself completely to them. But I said I'll do it for 2 years. I said we go to the military, to the army for 2 years, and give ourselves to a white man. And we do what he say. Why not give yourself to a black man? So I gave myself to Elijah Muhammad and those officials and the Nation of Islam. When people saw me again, I had on a suit, a tie, a white shirt, and a bow tie. And I was saying, Assalamu alaikum, yes sir, yes ma'am. And I lost a lot. Again, I couldn't live with my uncle and them, but the temple had some duplex. So they put me in with another brother. My girlfriend quit me, and I was the Nation of Islam then. And it was incredible. I saw what other men must feel like, feeling like they was building a nation. I met men that believed, I didn't know they were so religious. I was really looking at the black nationalism part. I was ready for somebody to fight back. But I found out these people were religious. These black men was taking care of their children. Their children was precious to them. They were respecting their wives. The women called them sir. Well, I never seen a woman calling a black man sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. We opened the back door of the car for them, and we was taught to turn your head and give the woman room to move her legs into the car without you looking. They just taught us all this little details about respect for our women, respect for ourselves, respect for our children, our community. And I tried to tell everybody about it. I came back to LA, Mama, you gotta be a Muslim. My brothers and sisters, y'all gotta be Muslims. My running boys from the hood, y'all gotta be Muslims. I found something. I have found it for everybody. Well, they weren't listening. They didn't want it, and I couldn't understand that. So Thanksgiving, I was at my mother's house, and she finally said, look, you've been brainwashed. I'll never forget that. And I said, yes, I have. My brain needed washing. And perhaps you guys should get your brain washed. Because right now, y'all got all this alcohol on the table. And y'all going to drink it. And then about a half hour, I'm leaving because you're going to start acting crazy. Drinking that white man's poison. So yes, I needed my brain washing. I don't drink alcohol. I don't use drugs. Women is no longer a sex object to me. I'm fighting for a big cause. This is a national organization, and all we want to do is be left alone. We're going to build our own schools. We're going to build our own hospitals. We're going to open up our own restaurants. We don't need to integrate with you. We're not begging to integrate with anyone. If you don't like us, fine. Leave us alone. We men. just like any other man on this planet. We can build our own reality, and we will take charge of it. And I had never seen men like that before, and women, strong women. So for 2 years I lived there. I got my AA degree, and I came back to Los Angeles, transferred to Cal State Los Angeles. Went there, ran out of money after about 1 year there, and I got this job with the telephone company. And that was the most money I've ever had in my life, because they paid well. They gave me benefits. People started sending me credit cards. So, for about 3 years, but I wasn't in the Nation of Islam anymore. Because I gave them the 2 years. Now I'm coming back to Los Angeles, and I got back. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't brainwashed. I wanted to make sure that's what I really wanted. But after about 3 years, I started begging God to bring me back. Let me feel that in my heart again, because that's what I want. I don't want this other life. I don't feel like a spiritual being out here. So I started going to Los Angeles, called Bilal Islamic Center in Los Angeles. It's the oldest. It's where everybody really comes out of. The Imam Hassan was sent out here by Imam Elijah Muhammad. And I started working for the newspaper with them, their paper, and using my journalism skills. And that's where I met my wife. She had just become a Muslim on her own up in Oakland, and she had moved down here. She was recruiting for Peace Corps, but she had got a degree in education. Really, she saw our paper and said, "Y'all need some help with the English."
So, with this new faith, okay, it was different than the Nation of Islam.
Right. Well, at first, when Elijah Muhammad died, his son, Warith Deen Muhammad, became the leader of the Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. But he led us out of that Nation of Islam,
which is more black radical.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Black nationalism mixed with Islam. It really wasn't Islam, but we didn't know that.
Yes.
It was Islam. It was what the French call a mélange, a mixture of black nationalism and Islam. But his son came out and said, "You guys, we cannot continue to play this game. You're going to be black nationalists, or you're going to be Muslim like all other Muslims around the world." He took out the chairs, put in carpet, started teaching us how to pray like everybody else around the world, and started teaching us how to practice the religion of Islam. Yeah. So it was still, we were still there. There was no more Nation of Islam. See, Minister Farragut started the Nation of Islam again about 6-7 years later, because some people didn't want to give up the black nationalism. Some called Imam W.D. Muhammad a traitor. They needed people to tell them what to do. W.D. Muhammad said, "You have to learn to discipline yourself. We don't have no more captains, no more lieutenants. We're not going to act like we are military. So you're going to have to govern yourself." And a lot of people can't govern themselves.
Right.
They felt very comfortable with the leadership telling them what to do.
And so therefore moving more towards Islam and the principles
Yes.
and beliefs of Islam, like what's brought out by Muhammad Ali in his autobiography when he made that pilgrimage to Mecca, because that's one of the principles that people do wish to do,
Right.
that practice Islam or are Muslim.
Yeah, Malcolm X saw it earlier too, and he was moving that way also, but he was ahead of his time. Yeah, and to the Nation of Islam, he was a traitor.
And it's very interesting that you bring that up in your part of your story, because a lot of us don't understand the education of that divide.
I know. I know. Most people don't understand that. That's why I tell people I was in the Nation of Islam, but they think I'm in the Nation of Islam. And I've never been in Minister Louis Farrakhan's Nation of Islam. I call it his Nation of Islam because he started it. I saw him when he started it. I went down and listened to him at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles to see if he was right or not, because I didn't know which way to go. And I saw that Orthodox Islam was the way to go, so I stayed with W.D. Muhammad.
Which is the love of all mankind.
Right.
All races.
And I knew that anyway in my
faiths.
heart, but when you're indoctrinated and you're trying to build a nation, sometimes you gotta accept some of the things you know is wrong for that 80% that's good. And that 80% for the human being and the way we was trying to raise our families and our children was awesome. It was good. To do for self, not talk about people holding us back. That's why even today I differ with a lot of leadership, and I don't get on a lot of panels and things, because even with all these PhDs, they always talking about, and they good at the statistics of what the government is doing to hold black people back.
That's still
oh, they write books about it.
In your soul.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm told us what the white people was doing to us, but then they say, here's what you need to do for yourself. They never get to the part of how to teach African American children to recognize what's happening and then navigate their own lives through it. And they can. It's in them.
So now you meet your wife, and she's recruiting for the Peace Corps.
Yes, and we get married. And
what year was that?
She says, you got to go back to school, because she was into education. She already had a master's. She said, no, I'll work full-time, you go to school full-time, and then we'll go back to Africa. Because I had a passion. I wanted to go to Africa so bad. It was driving me. Even before I met her, I wanted to go to Africa. So I went back to Cal State Los Angeles. I got my BA degree in public relations journalism, and we got out of here and went to Burkina Faso, West Africa. We taught English as a foreign language to high school students, and they spoke French. And we stayed there 2 years.
And how was that experience?
It was incredible. It was incredible.
Define incredible.
See, one thing we don't know is what white people feel as the majority. Because you can't know, because you're not the majority. In Africa, I was part of the majority. Everybody in office or in the powerful position was black. It's an incredible feeling to be part of the majority. It's something you can relax in and just flow like down a river. So I understand how white people feel. It's awesome. You don't have to fight up. You just relax in your culture, because everything is geared around you. So I couldn't say the police was messing with me in Africa because I was black. Because they're black. I can't say the judge gave me this time because I was black, because they're black. Everything, and that was awesome. Now some of the white Peace Corps volunteers tried to trick me out of enjoying the Africans by saying, "Oh, you're American, you're gonna stay with us." I was like, you ain't tricking me like this. I'm African, an American of African descent. I'm home. Not only that, when I got off the plane, I cried. I couldn't stop. When I touched the soil of Africa, and the people say Africans don't like African Americans. It's all depends on how you present yourself. You go over there and thinking you better than them because you're in America and talking about their food and everything. Who would like you? No, they have this saying in Africa where it's like you went away, but now you're back and you're supposed to bring some knowledge back. I was back. All those generations of slavery and everything my ancestors went through, I was back.
Have you ever done the genealogy test to find out from what part of Africa you are from?
No, I have not.
You need to do that.
I've thought about it, but no, I have not.
That should be on your bucket list.
So
Hearing you speak.
So in Africa, because I know I have to continue the story, in Africa I learned French. I was accepted. I became part of the community. It was just beautiful being home. Beautiful being home. I saw people, babies born. I was part shared that. They shared that with me. People dying. They shared that with me. It was beautiful. And then my wife and I came back to California, and we had to start our own life now. So she got a job. Well, she was pregnant when we came back. So I had to get a job, and she had our first child, Ibrahim. And after that, she went to work, and we started building our family, and we was in Los Angeles, going to Masjid Bilal, Muslim community, and then we had our second child, Bilalia. Oh, I missed something. You talked about the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. Mm-hmm. My wife and I made that pilgrimage to Mecca from Africa. While we was in that part of the world, we spent a month in Saudi Arabia, Mecca, and the 2 weeks doing the rituals of Hajj. So my title is El Hajj, Abraham Waris Mubashshir.
Amazing.
Yes. So we came back. We moved out here in 1990 because of the homes. The prices out here was really low. I think we were 5 bedrooms on a quarter-acre of land, 3-car garage, 3 bathrooms, $169,000. In LA, we was in Carson looking for a home. They wanted like $200,000 for a 3-bedroom, 1, 2, and 1.5 bath. The cement was broken up. They said location, location, location. So we moved out here, and so coming out here to the Inland Empire and to Rialto, my wife got a job at Poly High in Riverside. I got a job at Cole Middle School here in Rialto.
Oh.
Yeah, and we had our 3rd child. But we had to drive all the way to Los Angeles to interact with the Islamic community, the African American Islamic community, under the leadership of W.D. Muhammad, Waris D. Muhammad, the organization called Muslim American Society now. So we're calling the Muslim American Society at that time now, not the Nation of Islam. And Farragut took the name Nation of Islam and started that again under his leadership, and they're still doing that. But something happened big. There was a woman here, and her Mrs. Salam, Sister Salam, she had a meeting with all the Muslim families in the area at her house. She invited everyone to her home, and it was more than that I knew was here. And she said that we need to get together. So we started meeting at her house, and then finally we decided to start meeting at different families' houses. So people from San Bernardino, people from other areas, Fontana.
The Inland Empire.
Right, the Inland Empire, mostly out of the San Bernardino County. And for about 3 years, we met in people's homes every Saturday for what we call Talim, which is a gathering, kind of informal, bring food, have lectures, show videos, just kind of fellowshipping.
Under the principles.
Yeah.
Of
faith. Islam. Yes, it was all. The meeting was all about Islam. It was Muslims coming together, and it was good for our families, because our children now saw other people's children and started bonding with them. They saw other people like themselves, other families. But we outgrew that. It got so big that we said we need a place. So we took out contracts. I thought that was very interesting economically, because I was concerned. I was one of the co-founders of the Islamic Center of Rialto, along with.
And it was located.
Huh?
The Islamic Center of Rialto. It was located
in Rialto, off of Eucalyptus and Pepper, between Eucalyptus and Pepper, off of Foothill. We leased a place in there, and it was nice. It was really roomy, and we worked on it for almost a month to bring it up to city inspection. The fire department had to come in and do their work, and we had to make it where it was suitable for us to sit on the carpet and make our prayers. And we finally moved in to that location, and we created a community. I was elected to be the public relations director. We wanted to interact with the community and the city officials to get involved with the institutions in Rialto. And we did. We did a very good job of getting involved with the city of Rialto. We had a grand opening. I think it was March 1998. It was huge, 3 days. We pulled people from San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento, San Diego. We had speakers coming out from Atlanta and Chicago. And the mayor of Rialto at that time was John Longville. He was our keynote speaker, and he participated in the river cutting ceremony. He enjoyed it so much, he asked could he come to the last event, which was on Sunday, our banquet. And of course, we accommodated him. And that was our introduction to the city. I became a member of one of the commissions here in the city of Rialto. This was their first Human Relations Commission. They had decided that they needed a liaison commission between the administration and the community. Yeah, so people could come to us first, and then we can take a look at it, and then we could tell them where to go, because we know both. It was like bilingual with the two languages, the language of the common community people
Yeah, I remember parts of that because Georgia Morris was a part of it.
Yeah, I
The
know her.
first one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great commission. Well, we did some incredible things in Rialto. Not only that, we put together an interfaith activities.
So, so what do you think that the center brought to Rialto and brought to the Inland Empire?
Well, what I know that our participation in the community allow people to see Muslims in real life other than what they've heard about it. See, they used the term black Muslims, but we never used that term, black Muslims. We're just Muslims. If we're going to do ethnicity, we'll say African American Muslims versus immigrant Muslims, people coming from other countries. And that's what we really needed. We needed a Islamic Center, and especially for our children, to see African American, us, taking on this responsibility of an institution instead of going to someone else's. They saw their mothers and fathers running this institution, participating in the city, seeing the mayor come into our institution, and Barbara McGee and even S. Scott and all of those people came, and when they came, they felt good about us. And it was good timing because 9/11 happened. And by that time we had been interacting with the city enough for the city to know us.
And not be in fear.
Not only that, I spoke to the city council and to the citizens of Rialto using Channel 3 about after 9/11. And I got the support of the mayor and the city council, and the mayor really set the tone for Rialto. Said, these are good people. I know, I've been around these people. And we will not tolerate any, not only violent acts towards them, not even violent acts towards their property, insults to them. And they even sent more police officers around our Islamic Center to make sure we were safe. We never had one incident after 9/11 in the city of Rialto, even though they had some in Riverside and San Bernardino, never in Rialto. And I believe it's because we had already participated in our government, and people had already accepted us and saw that we were good people. Just trying to raise our families like everyone else. Our children was on the basketball teams and football teams, and we just wanted to join with people for the common good.
The question I haven't asked you is who inspired you? Who was your role models? I know one of them you have stated was the Muhammad Ali in his autobiography.
No, that was Malcolm X.
Oh, that was
his
Malcolm
autobiography.
X. Yeah.
I never read Ali's
Autobiography.
No.
Yeah, but who was it? Who was your role model, and who inspired you?
Different people. I started with Malcolm X, and that was a powerful role model. I think that was the most powerful, because I had to pick myself up, and it was hard to change, to discipline myself, to become a student. But I believed I had it in me because Malcolm showed that it was there. After that, I was influenced by, of course, Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad, I think he had a 6th grade education and built a national organization on the belief that you can do for yourself. And we weren't going to compromise our principles. wasn't going to pretend that we're inferior so you can feel more comfortable around us. No. We're going to look you in the eye as men and women, and we accept the responsibility and whatever it takes, but we will not back down. So that helped me to be a good father, a good husband, and a good community man. And it helped me in my classroom with my students, because I had an ideology that each one of my students had the potential. Not only that, the responsibility to develop that potential to be an international human being on this planet.
And contribute.
Yeah, each student. But I knew the world's going to try to destroy them. So they would go to drugs and alcohol and a lot of sex and anything else to feel good, try to feel human, but not participate as an international human being with the responsibility and even discipline yourself to that responsibility.
So stand up and recount it.
Stand up and say, I am man, I am woman. I can do for self.
So what, I noticed here you said inspiring young people to know that they have what they need inside to take responsibility for their life and future. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when someone watches this video, what would you say to young people that you want to be or could be your legacy that you have extended to them?
I used to tell my students, because people already have in mind why they want you to do something, and they say, well, your teachers are born to be a teacher. I had no desire to be a teacher. It fell on me because I wanted to go to Africa. And the only way Peace Corps let me go to Africa is I taught English as a foreign language. I fell in love with the profession when I saw how powerful it was. I had African students that only spoke French 2 years later sitting on my porch in Africa talking English to me. And then I taught them all of that. Wow, that is powerful. So when I came back to the United States, I tried to get into middle management in commerce, but it was no satisfaction. The product we put out and sold didn't give me that satisfaction. So I went back to teaching. And I told my students that I was here in front of them for a selfish reason. I want immortality. I want to live forever. And I found in my search for immortality that there is only 2 ways to have it. And that's to live in the mind and the heart of the living. So I want to live in your heart and your mind. I want 30 years from here. Now, I may not physically be on this earth for you to say, you know, I had a teacher. And that teacher inspired me. And I'm living now a good life partly because of that teacher. I can't remember his name right now. I think it was Mubashshir or something like that. But he inspired me. And that's what I did with every student that came through my classroom. I figured that's my limited audience. We all can't be Martin Luther King in the big picture, but we can in a smaller picture. I have parents come up to me and say, you inspired my child in the 7th grade like no one else had. Parents, white parents. I run into adult students now with their own families and that's been to college and say, you made an impact on me. See, what I knew is they may not remember the history that I taught them, but they will remember the feeling that they got in that class. And I offered them security in that class. They used to run to my classroom because that's where they felt safe. I don't care if you're Mexican, Asian, black, tall, short,
fat, skinny,
whatever. You cannot talk about someone in my class. You cannot put people down in my class. That was against the rule. If you can't say something to pick somebody up. So kids who was afraid to read openly, read openly. And they felt that growth. Even those who fought me at the beginning, I wouldn't give up. I never stopped. I said, I'm going to be here. I'm going to motivate you. I'm going to teach you if I had to wait till the last day of school as you walking out the door, and I'll be giving you those last instructions. Because I am serious about what I'm doing. I believe in education. I believe your life will be better. And I want to help affect humanity in the future. When I think about my own children, and you can talk to them, it's not just about them. I talk to them about my grandchildren that haven't been born yet, and their children who haven't been born yet. This is a long-range goal. Sometimes we want everything to happen in our lifetime.
But it doesn't work out that way.
As a history teacher, hundreds and thousands of years of evolution.
So how many years did you teach?
I taught 13 years at Cole Middle School, 7th grade world history, and 10 years at Carter High School, named after the former Assemblywoman Amina Wilmer Carter. And that was awesome to be working at a school with her name. It made me work harder to make that school good.
And you retired?
I retired in 2014, yes.
That was recently. That's only been a little while ago.
Yes, yes.
And so what are you doing in your retirement?
Taking it easy. I've been driving myself for decades because it wasn't easy for me. I didn't come from a two-family, middle-class home that nourished me into this. I saw that it exists myself, and I gave everything. Yeah. I had a saying in college, do or die. I got it from a movie. It's a strange movie, but it was called Superfly. And
that's
one of the phrases was, all he knows is to do or die. And I said, I'm going to do this or die trying. I'm never going to surrender. Not only that, the guy, a Mexican guy who was over finances, he called me into the office at the junior college in Pittsburgh. He said, I have one job from the post office they gave me to send down there. I'm going to send you. And I said, why me? You Mexican American, there's Mexican students here. Why me? He said, I've been seeing you. He said, you in every tutoring program. You stay here late. You don't carry yourself like disrespectful. And that helped me a lot because I was able to get my own place with that money and buy a car.
So there's been many areas that have been profound in your life.
Yes.
And many areas where you have
I've been inspired by Martin Luther King. I didn't support his ideology, though. I don't think it works. Of nonviolent as a minority under a majority. Gandhi had a majority, and he had to try to get rid of a minority of Englishmen. So it worked for him. But I respected Martin Luther King because he stood with his principles. He let people hit him and didn't do nothing. And he got up and went again. And he gave his life. You know, he had a saying, like any other man, I would like to live a long and prosperous life, but longevity has its place.
Well, on that closing note, Mr. Mubashshir, we want to thank you for your interview. It's been enlightening. We've had a glimpse into your life and your faith, and for that we thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for inviting me.
You do.